So how is everybody? Just curious. Just wanted to know. We've done a lot, in the last day and a half. I guess you guys know that, and there's still a lot more to come. So we want to. Is it too loud? It's okay. Okay. We want to take a minute, if that's okay with everybody. First of all, just a quick question: how many people are here for the first time? Wow. Okay. That's more. Wait, one more time. Raise your hands. Yeah. Okay. Jeff. Oh my God. Okay. And how many people are here for the second or third time? Okay. So a couple. There's some more new than not new. Okay. Yeah. So we're going to do something a little fun. We're going to do something a little different today. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah. So turn to your neighbor just for fun for a second. Take 10 seconds, 37. We'll take 30 seconds and just say hi. Okay? Introduce yourself. Get a name. If you can get a name with a face. What are you doing? What do you have? Where'd you come from? Where you guys live? 30 seconds. Come on. It's just fun. It's fun to know. Look at this. There's trouble right there. That's trouble with a capital T. And everybody gets to have a moment to say hi, because it's important energetically to understand who you're sitting next to, right? So that when you want to interact with the people around you, it's nice that you're not like all like this. It's important to feel comfortable and maybe a little less stressed. And if you know the person next to you, it makes it a little bit easier to interact, because we're going to do a little interaction later. I just made up my mind to do something I've never done before. So who has an idea of what we're going to talk about today? Does anybody have an idea? Okay. Anybody has, from last year, remember a few of the things that we talked about? Yes or no? Yes or no? Anybody? No. Okay. Well, we have a lot to cover. There is the basics of what we're going to talk about has to do with carbon. So I'm sure nobody's shocked about that, correct? Carbon is something that we all understand to some degree. We all have realized for one reason or another that we have a connection into carbon. What's your connection to carbon? Your connection to carbon is that we're made up of carbon. We're made up of about 18% carbon. We have carbon is present in everything from little critters in the ground to us. Anything that's living, breathing, and respirating contains carbon. Carbon is a very unique element. It is a chemical and bioactive element, but it's not a metal. So people always ask me, so is carbon a metal? So how many people think they understand what carbon is? Anybody have a pretty good idea of what carbon is? Well, carbon is something that the entire study of organic chemistry is about carbon. And the entire study of organic chemistry is something that if it didn't exist, we certainly wouldn't be here. Carbon is a very unique molecule. It can bond to itself. It can also bond to something that's not carbon. It's very rare that a molecule can bond to itself. It's very unique, and it creates a very unique molecular structure. So we are made up of about 18% carbon. Anybody know that? Yes or no? No? Okay, so now you know we're made up of about 18% carbon. The plant kingdom is made up of about 50% carbon. So ish. So now there's a direct relationship. I can't tell you what the little bugs in the ground are made up of. I don't know. But there is always, in anything that is living and breathing and respirating, there is always a degree of carbon that is present. So it is a very unique molecule. It allows for and creates, it is made up of atoms, which contains protons, neutrons, and electrons. It is a non-metal, as I said, essential for all known life on Earth. That's a lot of stuff going on right there. So the study of organic chemistry is the study of what? What is it? Carbon? Yes or no? Yes or no? You with me? Okay, so carbon is the key component in everything that is alive. And everything that's not alive is what? Is what? What is it? It's inorganic. Yeah, and if it's inorganic, what's it made up of? Metals, it could be made up of carbonates. It could be made up of what? Different carbon-based bicarbonates, things that are inert. So anything that is inert, it still contains carbon, but it's very confusing. It's confusing because most of us think that carbon is just carbon, right? There's just like, there's one form of it. But in this case, there's not. We have multiple forms of carbon. We have carbon that we, like, had anybody heard of hydrocarbons? Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay. So hydrocarbons are something as a derivative of carbon, but however, it's the burning of carbon, right? It's the burning of fossil fuels. It is a very different molecule because it doesn't contain these things called methyls and aromatic protonates and heterocyclics and carbonyls and carboxyls and quinones and ketone-ketene-like carbonyls. That's the stuff that we're made up of. That's what we are. However, things that are inert can still have carbon in it, but it's a different form of carbon. It's an inert form of carbon, something called carbonate, right? Or bicarbonate or hydrocarbons. There's a lot to be. So who's with me? Everybody with me? Okay. It's really important that you understand that, because if you do, then the rest of the conversation becomes a little bit easier. Does anybody understand that there's different forms of mercury? Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay. So if there's different forms of mercury, one can be organically bound and one can be what? Inorganically bound. The inorganic methyl mercury that everybody talks about is what? What is that? Extremely toxic, right? So if you take just a small amount of methyl mercury and you inject a rat with it, what happens to the rat in a matter of minutes? Okay, so we agree. The rat's gonna die. It's intoxicating to the brain. So we need to understand that there is a differentiation between things that contain carbon that are living and breathing and respirating, like what? What would be a good example? Plants? Yes or no? Okay. Animals? Yes or no? Okay. What about kids? Little kids? Yes or no? Okay. What about the swing set? The swing set that the little boy plays on? No. So that's inert. Things that are inert contain what? What do we decide? Carbonate. A little bit oversimplistic, but I think the idea is that we need to understand and differentiate between things that contain carbon that are living and breathing and respirating, and the things that do not that still contain carbon but can be very toxic. Very confusing, right? Don't you agree? What else would be very confusing? Has anybody picked up a bottle of Evian in the last year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe 2 years? I don't know. Anybody drank Evian? No? Anybody? Yes or no? Yeah? Okay, so Evian has a little statement on the bottle and it says carbon neutral. You ever see that? On a bottle of water, it says carbon neutral. That's really confusing, because doesn't that give you the connotation, or am I crazy, that carbon like, it's not cool. It's just not cool, right? Like, that's just not good. That's like, we're not going there. Carbon has a bad side to it. All right. And what do you agree with that? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yeah, you with me? Okay, so it's important now to differentiate, what the heck does that even mean? Carbon neutral. I mean, I've seen it not just here, like in our hotel. I've seen things that say carbon neutral all over the place, more and more lately. At first, I was just like, oh my God, like, what does that mean? Like, what is that even, like carbon, like we're made of carbon. So what are they talking about? So I looked into it a little bit. I did a little research and I looked into it. And what I realize and understand now is that things that contain, or that say, if it says carbon, like products and marketing that says carbon neutral, they really mean carbon dioxide. Didn't we just decide that there's different forms of carbon? We did, didn't we? We said that. Really confusing. And then didn't we just say that if carbon is good for you and we're made up of carbon, what is that? What does that even mean? Why would it be called carbon neutral? Because they left off the word called carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide is what? It's what? It's inert. Yes or no? Do we agree with that? Okay, do me a favor. Turn to your neighbor, take 10 seconds, 30 seconds, and just tell your neighbor what we just discussed about carbon. Just for fun. Just for fun. What did we decide? Okay. Okay. So we came to a conclusion. Yeah? We said there's different forms of carbon, and we said some of the carbon is good and some of the carbon is not good. Yes or no? Okay. So if we understand that now, and we can come to wrap our brain around the fact that there is different forms of something. For example, if you take methyl mercury and you attach methyl mercury to some form of carbon, what happens to it? It bonds. It creates a yes or no? Creates a polymer. Yeah? Okay, everybody agree? And that polymer now, so like the government says you can go eat a banana and you don't have to worry about it. Why? Because there's still methyl mercury in the banana. But why is that okay? Why? The government doesn't, not that the government has our best interest all the time. It's not that we're going there. That's a whole nother conversation. Okay, so point that I'm trying to make is that there's some agreement, something called GRAS, generally recognized as safe. Anyway, there's this stuff called mercury inside a banana, but the government doesn't tell you that it's bad for you. And the reason the government doesn't tell you that it's bad for you is why? Who wants to take a stab at that? Why? We just said there's different forms of carbon. What's the reason? They don't care. For sure. Okay, the different conversation. But yeah, no, okay, never mind. No, they don't. But point is this. There's different forms of carbon. That form of carbon is bound, that form of methyl mercury is bound to what? Has to be, right? It's a conclusion that we're going to draw. That form of mercury, for example, that's in a banana or a cucumber or a tomato is okay. And the reason that it's okay is because it's bound into what? Organic carbon, right? But you don't remember we said you take a little methyl mercury out of inject the rat with it, inert methyl mercury, the rat dies. The mouse dies. We know this. So now on this side, we know that we are going to understand now that there are different forms, and there's an example of it. Anything that's bound to carbon, including methyl mercury. So what happens if we take methyl mercury and then we bond it to carbon, organic carbon, and now we inject the rat? Who wants to take a stab? What happens? Huh? I mean, does the rat die? Yes or no? Why? Why? It's bound to organic carbon, right? So anything that's bound to organic carbon, the body sees it in a very different way, in a very different light. So I'm going to skip ahead because we've got a lot to do. So what is okay, we just decided there's two different forms of carbon. Okay. What do we do? Does anybody know what a synthetic chemical nutrient is? What is that? Has anybody even heard the term? What is it? So it's something that we look at as something that is synthesized in a lab. Yes or no? Okay. So if it's, you're with me? Okay. So if it's synthesized in a lab, then what is it? A chemical? Yes or no? Okay. So if it's a chemical, then would it be bound to carbon? No. No. So give me an example of a synthetic chemical nutrient. What am I talking about? What is that? I mean, it's everywhere. We see what maybe a better way. What isn't made in the lab? Does anybody have an example of a nutrient that's not made in the lab? What I mean by that is if you go into a lab, it is synthesized, it is manufactured from a chemical compound that does not contain what? Thank you. What does it contain? What? Inert carbon. Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay, take 10 seconds and talk to your neighbor about that. 10 seconds. What? Okay, so we now understand that there are these things called synthetic chemical nutrients. Agreed? Okay. If they're synthetic chemical nutrients, we just decided that they come from what? A lab. Yes or no? Okay. So if they come from a lab, then that means realistically, unfortunately, they don't contain what? Okay. So if they don't contain carbon, what do they contain? Some inert form, carbonate, bicarbonate, there's a ton of polymers. So having understood that, why would we ingest something that is inert? What happens when we ingest something that's inert? I mean, your body will say, hey, looks like my hand. You ever see your hand in a mirror? Right? You ever do that? It's like, I'm not saying you walk up to a mirror and do that, but if you were to walk up to a mirror and do that, what would you see? You would see the mirror image of your hand. Yes or no? Okay, so now you see the mirror image of your hand. It's not your hand. It's the exact opposite of your hand. But man, doesn't it look like your hand? Yeah, it does. So what they've done from a synthetic chemical nutritional perspective is they have created something that looks like something that we would have that contains carbon, but they can't do that. What are those diamonds called that don't look, what's the word? What is it? Zirconia? Okay, so whatever she said, zirconian. So they look just like, yes or no? I mean, you'd have to be a specialist with special whatevers to look down in there and go, hey man, that's like not real, right? But the rest of us go, wow, that looks pretty dang good. Where'd it come from? A lab. Go figure that. You see, so now we think that when I was a kid, I bought shoes and the shoes looked just like the real expensive ones. And I went to Target and Walmart and I put these shoes on that were just cheap because they were fake leather. But man, they looked just like real thing. They looked like real leather, but they didn't. My foot perspired. They soaked. My sock, they stunk. I'm sorry, but they stunk. They really did. They reeked, and you can't condition them, right? You can't put leather conditioner on fake leather shoe. But tell me they don't look just like the Pumas or the Adidas, right? In fact, in some ways they look better, right? Because they matched. You ever see the little, there's things different about real leather shoes? They don't match exactly. Agreed. Yes or no? Okay, so where am I going with this? We needed to understand why carbon is so unique molecularly. Why carbon has the capacity to create life. And then we need to understand that there's something out there. Dang, dude, it looks and smells just like the one that is real. And we have examples of that. Did we talk about zirconium? We talked about a fake leather shoe, right? You can't condition a shoe. If you buy a good pair of floor shimes for a dude and you want to go stick some leather conditioner, you could theoretically keep them for 100 years. They'll outlive you. Why? Because there's some carbon in there. Why? Because it came from an animal. So why would we take synthetic chemical nutrition and then ingest that? What happens to the SCN over time after you've ingested it? Is it good for me in a long period of time? Yes or no? Why? Why isn't it good for you? Can somebody please tell me why? We just said that the fake leather shoe looks just as good as the real one. Did we not? Yes or no? Okay, so if it does, why is the SCN chemical nutrient not good for me? And what do I even mean by not good for? That's a funny thing to say. Because why? You can't digest it? I mean, why can't you digest it? What happens? So it's that mirror image thing. Yes or no? It looks like your hand, but it's actually the mirror image of your hand. And if it's the mirror image of your hand, it's not your hand. So synthetic chemical nutrition is something that has been around for a long time. Why? It's easier. Oh God, I hate to say this. What's the reason? What's the reason? Yeah, Jeff, you rock. It's the reason. It's because, I mean, I'm sorry. Don't shoot me. I'm just a messenger, right? It is cheaper. It is absolutely definitively less expensive. And what? Faster to manufacture. And it is simplistic to manufacture it. And so what happens? You can make the same fake leather shoe look exactly the same. If you want to put a little scratch in the fake leather shoe, you can do that when you're manufacturing, and you can put it on both and they'll always be in the exact same place. But if you ever look at a grapefruit even, what two grapefruits are exactly the same? I mean, what two cows are exactly the same? Okay, so do you guys understand that there's a difference now? And there's something very unique about carbon. And now do you understand that there's something called synthetic chemical nutrition, and it's been around for a long time, and it's going to be around for a long time. The same government that tells you, well, I don't know if I'm technically allowed to say that, the same institution that tells you that it's something called grass is generally recognized as safe. So you can go buy a pack of cigarettes, can't you? And you can go smoke those. I mean, what is that? That's inert. It's synthetic. It's a toxin. It's chemical. So if nothing else, you will understand how important it is, and to at least know up here to differentiate between a synthetic chemical nutrient and something that's bonded to carbon. Turn to your neighbor and talk about that for 20 seconds. Just explain that. Just tell your neighbor exactly why carbon is unique.
That
How many people knew that? It's okay. This is transparency time. How many people think they knew that, but wasn't 100% on it? How many people had an idea or a concept about that, but didn't exactly get it? Okay. How many people now get it? Okay. Is there anything about what I just said that's confused the heck out of you? Anything? Is there anything like not making sense? Anything kind of quasi, kind of in there? Okay. So now we got to talk about something else. Um, Back in the 1930s, what happened? There was something called bioagriculture. When bioagriculture started, and maybe even before the 1930s, it's a very common practice in the 1900s, especially on or before the 1930s, that they would do something called crop rotation. Yes or no? What? And they did that because they wanted to preserve. They wanted to preserve something, minerals. Why? Okay, we'll get into that in a second. That's a whole nother conversation. But they're looking for ways to preserve what's in the ground because there's things in the ground by, upstairs, that one, that goes in and it causes decay. And when this process of carbon cycle decay happens, the ground becomes concentrated, infiltrated. Why? Plants live and die. Yes or no? I mean, they're not going to live forever. Yes or no? Okay. So if you agree that plants live and die, what happens when they die? They release their remains into the ground and their ground becomes concentrated or saturated. What's it saturated with? Now we know. It's saturated with this stuff called carbon and carbon complexes. And Mother Nature does that by herself without our intervention at all. And we didn't have to do anything to make it happen. Mother Nature made it happen for us. And what we do, the farmer actually comes and he plants a seed. And when the farmer plants the seed, a crop grows. For example, a potato, a corn on the cob, a green bean, something that we ingest. There are critical organic complexes that are present in the soil after a long period of diagenesis. Diagenesis meaning decay. Plants living and dying, photosynthetically interchanging with light, and then they release their remains that's the cycle. So when plants release their remains into the ground and the soils become saturated with all this cool organic stuff, then the farmer comes along and he plants their seeds, and we eat the corn on the cob and the green bean and all that kind of stuff. What are we receiving? We are receiving critical organic mineral complexes. They are carbon-based. Mother Nature designed it that way. We didn't have to do anything. Here's the problem. Here's the kicker. The kicker to the whole story is that I hate this part. It's so sad. But when something called economic-based agriculture came into play, 1930s-ish, 1940s, 1935, the farmer stopped rotating his crop or her crop. I don't want to say no. I don't want to do that. But the crops are now no longer being rotated. And if they're not being rotated, what happens to that cool, good organic complexes that are in the soil? They got consumed. Yes or no? They got consumed because the seed came in, utilized the nutrients, the ground became hollow in a sense. Well, that's okay because crop rotation allowed for them to plant in another part and allow a certain amount, there's enough under there in the first 48 inches of topsoil for the ground to become resaturated. And as the ground became resaturated, and the farmer, came back from, sector A back to sector B and then went to sector C. But anyway, this is, like a rotation. When the rotation happens, our food still contained critical organic complexes. And that's a Mother Nature thing that's got nothing to do with anybody in this room. You're not stopping that. We aren't stopping the process. What interfered with the process is what? Economic-based agriculture. And what happened? He planted or she planted all the time, blah, 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 and the soils became depleted. When the soils became depleted, what happened? What happened? Our food, our foods became depleted. And when our foods became depleted, then what happened? We saw a absolute definitive relationship between the time and place of the economic-based agriculture and the manifestation of disease. But yet modern science went through this whole process of well, we got more drugs, we can do more surgeries, we're getting smarter, farmers getting bigger. So, but there was always this stair step. It was like a radar detector. Every time the cops came out with a new radar detector, there was, or a radar, there was a new radar detector, right? So they just kept doing this. Well, we eventually we lost track of it. And it became an absolute definitive for us to understand that we never kept up with the amount of disease, right? We always thought we were, but then you saw AIDS, then you saw all kinds of autoimmune diseases. You can't cure them. Why? Well, the answer is simple, is that when the ground became hollow, then the foods became hollow. Who's heard of a guy by the name of Linus Pauling? Yes or no? Anybody? Okay, well, Pauling, a couple people at least, 2-time Nobel Prize winner. Pauling said to the 72nd Congress, second session, he said, guys, listen, every ailment, every sickness, and every disease can be traced back to an organic trace mineral deficiency. And they were like, what the hell are you talking about? And he said, I'll say it again. Every ailment, every sickness, and every disease can be traced back to an organic trace mineral deficiency. Like, what does that even mean? Does anybody even know? First of all, who knows what he meant? Anybody? You do? What did he mean? Yes, there's a lack of nutrient coming through from the soil. But more importantly, does anybody have an understanding what he meant by the word organic? Yes or no? Anybody know? Okay, what does that word mean? Thank you. It took me forever to figure that out. Forever. I didn't understand when he said this to Congress, it was a trajectory changer for me because at that time, I was dying from an autoimmune disease. Oh, by the way. I had an autoimmune disease and I was very, very ill. And I don't like talking about it, but it is what it is. My mom passed when I was 10 from the same autoimmune disease, natural killer cells attacking polymononuclear cells. Anyway, long story, didn't work out too good for her. She passed. I didn't know that I had this little thing until I got into my late 20s. And I literally, right, like went to every person that I could try, every doctor, every naturopath, every allopath. Trust me on this one. I love naturopathic medicine, like obviously, but trust me, you would try allopathic medicine too, right? I didn't have a choice. I didn't understand, but I didn't have a choice. So in the process, I realized when I heard that trajectory changer, what's the trajectory changer? Every ailment, every sickness, and every disease can be traced back to an organic trace mineral deficiency. He meant organic meaning what? Right. But how many definitions of organic are there? How many? Wow, I'm impressed. 2. Okay, 2. Yes or no? Okay, so if that's true, what's the first definition of organic? That one that we're all accustomed to. It's like, potatoes and tomatoes and, they're pesticide free, they're herbicide free, right? Like they're whole foods. They're farmed without the use of chemical. What's the second definition? What? What is the second definition of organic? Oh, come on. I'm sitting up here. Come on. Yes or no? Second definition. It would be carbon. Yes or no? Okay, containing carbon. So there's 2 definitions of organic. Thank you. The first definition, pesticide chemical free, or that. Second definition, containing. Okay, come on. What is the second definition? Thank you. Thank you. Turn to your neighbor and talk about that for 10 seconds. I need to know that you understand that. Super important. You don't have a neighbor. I'm your neighbor. I think you already know. You already know. Okay. So what did we just say? Tell me. What did we just say? What? Two definitions of, thank you. And the second one is the one that I realized was going to be the trajectory changer for me. I needed to understand what he meant by the word organic. That's really, you got to admit though, right? That's like an easy thing to miss. I mean, I missed it. I didn't quite understand that. So I started ingesting all these different colloidal minerals, and everybody's heard of colloidal minerals, yes or no? Are colloidal minerals inert, or are they containing carbon? Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay, and if they're inert, why do we take them? What does that mean? When something does not contain living carbon, we decided we're made up of 18% carbon. We decided that we need carbon as a basis in our food supply, and we decided that Mother Nature, she takes 3,000 to 5,000 years to replenish the soil. We don't have 3,000 years, right? I mean, the reality of it is, I don't have 3,000 years to sit and wait. So what's the alternative for us? What do? Now we got this dilemma that we understand. There's a problem. There's a definitive yes or no. Hello, is there a problem? Okay, we all agree? You sure? Okay, the problem is real. Now, what's the solution? What do? Well, I'm dying of an autoimmune disease. I sent for about 18, 19 samples-ish from different countries, and I wanted to, my butt was on the line. Yeah, and I had no place to go. So I tried to create an extraction process after I listened to a guy by the name of Linus. I'm impressed. Good. He's an important guy. He's a 2-time Nobel Prize winner. No joke. A real guy. I mean, like, he spoke to Congress, 72nd Congress, second session, explained all this. And Congress is like, well, gosh, Lino, what are we going to do? Well, he's like, I don't have the answer for what we're going to do. You asked me what the problem was. So we have a definitive worldwide problem, not just here, but worldwide. So I'm dying of an autoimmune disease. My mom passes when I'm 10. Same thing. Actually, not exactly, very similar. And I'm no joke. I'm like 100 and should show you a picture. I can't. It's too hard. I was like 116, 115-ish, 16 pounds. And not cool. Not cool. I'm a young dude, right? Like, I'm a young guy and got my whole life. Like, parents always tell you got your whole life in front of you. I didn't have that. So I sent for these soil samples, and I wanted to understand what Pauling said, trajectory changer, like what he said and what he meant. So I created an extraction process. This extraction, it was retarded. Like, my people that were around me at that time were like, dude, no. I said, man, I'm going to create an extraction process from these 19 different soils that came from, 19 different countries. And I literally sat in my bathtub trying to figure out, I didn't like immerse myself in the bathtub. I put the soils into my bathtub. And then I tried to come up with some way to extract from those soils, because I don't have how many years? Thank you. I don't have it. I didn't have that. I'm not saying you don't. You're cool. I'm not saying you're not going to be around for 5K. I didn't quite have that. Okay, so what I did was I extracted these organic complexes. So here's the thing. Mother Nature did it, and she called it soil-based complexes. Mother Nature did that all by herself. We had nothing to do with it. I did it, and I called it carbon bond technology. And carbon bond technology was, number one, I was told if I told you how many people said you cannot take living carbon that made up of the same stuff you're made up of, and you can't attach that to a mineral. It's just, dude, like, no. Like, how do you even know Pauling was right? That's number one. Number two, even if he is right, can't be done. So if it can't be done, I said to myself exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and figure it out, because he said, not me, he said every ailment, every sickness, and every disease can be traced back to what? To an organic trace mineral deficiency. Write that down. Write that down. Every ailment, every sickness can be traced back to an organic trace mineral deficiency. Extremely important to understand that. He didn't say colloidal. He didn't say SCN. What do I mean by SCN? Synthetic chemical, thank you, nutrient. Yes or no? Yes or no? Synthesized in what? Thank you, in a lab. He didn't say that. So I thought, well, oh my God, he's a 2-time Nobel Prize winner. He's a lot smarter than anybody that I know. So I'm going to listen to what the man has to say. Now, I created something in my bathtub. Why? Because I didn't have how many years? Oh, right. No, I didn't have that. I didn't have that. So I created an extraction process in my bathtub and I ingested it. And my friends were like, you're insane. Like, you've lost it. Well, dude, if you were where I was, there's no chance you wouldn't try it. And I'm sorry, I'm going to try the drug too. I admit it. 100% admit it. I tried it. I tried it all. Give it to me. Can you give it to me like right now? Like, I don't care if it's bad for me in the long run, but if it can help me survive for the next month, 2, 3, 6, I'm in, right? Like anyway, so now I have this extraction process and I began ingesting this stuff. I didn't know what it was back in the day, but I know it'll make you laugh. I called it organic homeostatic soil-based microcomplexes. Got that? Yeah, that's cool. Okay, organic, 100% organic, homeostatic soil-based microcomplexes, because that's what it was. And I started drinking it. This is not a get rich, like go win the jackpot in the casino story. I didn't respond right away. I didn't even know what I was doing. I was very interested in what he said, and I had some ideas in my head. So I created something called carbon bond technology, and then I began to ingest it. What happened to carbon bond? What did it do? There's okay. There's something called carbon-based complexes. What's that? We need to understand the difference. What is a carbon-based complex? It's something that Mother Nature does over how many years? 3, 4, you go argue that number all day. That's totally fine. But it's somewhere between 3 and 5,000-ish years-ish. Then there's something else called carbon bond technology. Since I didn't have that time to wait, I had to come up with something that mimicked that, or looked just like that, or was that, without waiting. So I created something called CBT, carbon bond technology. Carbon bond technology is something that ended up saving my life. I don't have time to get into it. It's a whole nother lecture. But I will tell you that it wasn't fast, it was slow, but it was progressive. Instead of me losing more weight, instead of me dropping more weight, instead of all these other things, I didn't go like that, okay? That didn't happen. But I stayed like this instead of going like that. There's a big ASS difference. Big, right? I'm talking mama size, big ASS difference. For me, every moment mattered. Every moment that I had made a difference. So I created this technology called carbon bond technology. And as I decided, everybody told me you can't attach living carbon to a nutrient. I proved them wrong. I told them it can be attached to a nutrient. And Pauling was right. Why was Pauling right? I think I'm standing here right now. I'm not 100%. I could be another reality. But I think I'm standing here. And the reason I'm standing here is because I began ingesting my own stuff. And it contained organic complexes, the same complexes as if I were to get it from the food supply, which I'm more than happy to do. But what's the problem? Where? Where do I go? Do you want me to go to Africa? I mean, maybe there. I didn't know of any place that I could go to get food that still contained organic complexes. Well, an organic complex is what? It's a polysaccharide. It's a mucopolysaccharide. It's from digenesis complexes, contain humic acid. They contain fulvic acid. And the fulvic acid feeds the plant from the bottom of the plant, so it photosynthetically interchanges with light. And when it exchanges with light, what happens? Eventually it dies and it releases this organic material that is made up of this. Didn't we decide organic material is made up of the same stuff we're made up of? And we decided that carbonate is not, as an example, synthetic. So now, what happened? I ingested it. I started to get better. I didn't do this in an hour. This didn't happen like that. But I needed something. And I'm telling you, when I heard Pauling's tape, remember back in the day? Who remembers cassette tapes? Right, like I took and listened to a cassette, like the cassette tape of a guy by the name of Linus Pauling. But the point I'm making is that that cassette tape ended up being a trajectory changer. Yes or no? Okay, you with me? Yes or no? Okay, so if it's a trajectory changer, then I guess that's why I'm still standing here. Because what happened over time was the carbon, crazy concept. Now you need to switch gears with me and get a fresh piece of paper. Write this down. Carbon-based complexes can do multiple things simultaneously. Number one, they can infuse nutrition into the cell, into the mitochondria. I know that's a lot to write. I'm sorry. You're not going to write all that. But the concept is that you'll understand is that it can infuse nutrients or whatever it's bound to into the cell in record time. Could somebody please tell me why? Why? But if we now know it can do that, why? Because I swear I would like you to just come up because I'm getting tired. So if you just want to. No, that's good. She said, because it's made up basically of the same living material you're made up of, and the body sees it almost as what? A perfect kind of like, we'll just, lack of a better word, what's like a perfect tissue match. You're made up of methyls, aromatic proteinase, heterocyclase, carbonyls, carboxyls, quinones, all this cool carbonaceous stuff. Carbon is the basis of organic chemistry. It's the basis of all living things on the planet, even the critters in the ground, even the plants, even your puppy, everything, even your favorite giraffe in the zoo. We're all made up of carbon. So now, we now have this correlation. The body goes, zang. I know just what to do with that. That I understand. That I understand. So it does two things simultaneously. It will carry nutrition into the mitochondria and the cytoplasm of the cell in under CBT in under 18 seconds. What did I just, that's crazy. You're like, dude, stop. I'm telling you, we have studied and studied and studied. We've done thermal image, we've done microscopy, we've done HR, we've done it all. We've done it all. And it's in the cell in under 18 seconds. Now, what's the next amazing thing that you guys need to understand right now about what else it does? It does something else that nothing that I know, maybe you do, but nothing that I know can do. I just said it infuses nutrition into the cell, the mitochondria and the cytoplasm of the cell in under 18 seconds. The second thing that it does, it's a miracle. And this is, I think, to this day, I don't know, but I think this is what saved me. is it goes after. Carbon has a huge affinity for what? What? Carbonate. No way, go figure that. Yeah, it does. Carbon goes after and polymerizes to things that are inert. Anything that is inert is in extracellular space, interstitial fluid, and fatty tissue, and is creating disease. So your patients are exposed to a small amount of pesticides. Every time they eat a salad, they get a little bit of herbicide. Every time they smoke a cigarette, God, that's really bad. Or every time they breathe the air and there's CO2 up in the air, what's happening? It's not much. It's like if you went to your doc and you said, hey, doc, I'm smoking cigarettes. I'd kill you, by the way, if you said this. But if you ever said to your doc, hey, I'm smoking a cigarette, and the doc said, oh, well, just one cigarette. Like, okay, just stop. Oh, well, I'm smoking, I meant to tell you I'm smoking a pack a day. Well, the problem with that is that the pack a day is inert. It's inert, it's synthetic. It's lining fatty tissue with this toxic, looks like tar byproduct. I mean, there's 100 examples of exposure. How about molds? How about mycotoxins? Anybody familiar with that? Yes or no? Yeah? Anybody who's had mold exposure here? Unfortunately? Okay, well, I know of one person that's had mold exposure in this room. And that's a really tough, man, that's a really tough place to be. And the body has this capacity to hold inert material. But the government says it's okay. But the problem is, yeah, it is okay. It's okay because if you just had it once, or maybe twice, or maybe even 10 times, it's when you get to that 100th salad or 200th salad, it starts accumulating. The body has no physiologic capacity to release inert material. Does anybody know that? Yes or no? You didn't know that? Okay, the body has no physiologic capacity to release inert material. You need to understand that. There's something called the cytochrome P452 pathway. The P452 pathway is the pathway that the body uses to release through the urine, the skin, and the stool inert things, or anything that it can't process. The body doesn't understand how to let go of things that are inert. And it can to some degree. We have seen it. But oh my God, if you continue this process, eventually the body starts holding more and more and more and more. And one day your patient wakes up, and God forbid it's you, wakes up with an autoimmune disease. Oh my God, go figure. Really? An autoimmune disease. What is that? The body is attacking itself. And the reason it's attacking itself is because it doesn't recognize, it's like, what is that? It's some chemical, it's some pesticide, it's some herbicide. Point I'm making is that carbon, we started this process by saying carbon has a high affinity for what? Yes or no? Yes? Okay, so if carbon has a high affinity for carbonate, that means that it has the capacity to what? Attach to it, polymerize to it, and mm, 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 mm. Turn to your neighbor and talk about that. 10 seconds. Tell them about that. Why is that so cool?
He's
Okay, I counted to 10, swear to God. You did. I didn't count by twos. I counted by one. I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now, we now understand that carbon has a high affinity for carbonate. I think to this day, and that's an amazing thing. So what two things can carbon do? It can infuse nutrients into the cell at a radical rate. We've proven it. Telling you, we've seen it over and over and over. The second thing it does is it attaches to things that are what? That's crazy. How does it do both things at once? It's a binder. It's a catalyst. It's an activator. It's an accelerator. It's an amazing thing, but Mother Nature did it. The only problem was it takes how many years for Mother Nature to do it and put in the food supply? Yes or no? Yes? Okay. So now we understand that. And if we understand how important carbon is and why, because we're made up of it, and now we have this ability to infuse it into the cell in under 18 seconds. Under 18 seconds. Whoa, dude. Like, yeah. So I did that. I did it. And guess what? Here I am. So a lot of people didn't make it. My mom, I didn't know this. I didn't even understand it till I'm like, oh my God, sick. Like, oh my God, like, oh my God. So it's important to understand how effective carbon is. There's a third thing that carbon does. The first thing that it does, infuses nutrients into the cell in under 18 seconds. The second thing that it does is what? It goes after that nasty stuff called, thank you. It's accumulated in extracellular space, interstitial fluid, and fatty tissue, right? So the third thing, this is nuts. Crazy. I love it though. It's the third thing. It's so cool that I just want to tell you every time I say it, it literally brings the hugest smile on my face. It will take a synthetic chemical nutrient. I swear to God. Okay? It'll take an SCN. What did we say an SCN was? Made in the, thank you. Thank you. Made in the zoo? Yes or no? No. Made in the lab. Synthesized in the lab. It's a chemical. It will take an SCN, it will bond to it, and it will convert it. Oh my God. Oh my God. So you're saying you could take that acetate, that vitamin E, you could take that, anything that ends in ate, carbonate, acetate, you can take all this synthetic or chemical nutrition and you can, not you, we can, because I discovered how. I fell on it. I needed it to save me, like literally. And so I figured out a way to attach it to a nutrient. First they said can never be done. I attached it to 40 minerals. It took 12 and a half years. Hundreds, thousands of failures, but I did it. Then I attached that carbon-based mineral to over 400 nutrients. That took another 14, 15 years to do. The point is that if there is a synthetic chemical nutrient that's everywhere, it's everywhere. It's literally in every online shop, every Sprouts and Whole Foods. I don't know if I'm allowed to say those names, but it's everything you see is made up of some form of SCN. But carbon-based molecules have a high affinity for anything that is synthetic. I'm making this up, but this is the best example I can think of. Have you guys ever seen gold that has real gold? Real gold looks amazing, right? And then you go to the shop, but you can get something called, I don't know the word. It's like gold plated. What is it? Gold plated. Yeah. So you can get something called gold plated gold. Okay. That's pretty cool though. You got to admit, it's like kind of cool. So you can take this metal crap, you can wrap it in gold, and that's what touches your skin. I mean, not the best example, but that's the only one that I could think of at the moment. Okay, yes or no? Okay, you agree with that? You can take fake metal, you take metal, it's not fake, you take metal and wrap it in gold, and now it's gold plated. So guess what carbon does? Carbon does the exact same thing. It goes after a synthetic chemical nutrient, it wraps itself around it, go figure, and it converts an inorganic, inert, synthetic chemical nutrient into what? An organically bound carbon-based nutrient. Now, is that perfect? No. Is it like eating something inert that's really bad for you and toxic? Way better. Like, hello, is anybody with me? How much better? Way. No, like this. How much? Way better, right? Is it all the way through and through like a cucumber, or a tomato, or a banana, or something like that? No. No, it's not like perfect. But the body sees it as an organic substance now. If the body can't utilize it, guess good, like a great news. It works enough so that the body doesn't store it in extracellular space, interstitial fluid, and fatty tissue. Guess what? Now the body, the mitochondria and the cytoplasm of the cell open, it actually can utilize it and the body can benefit. Doesn't mean that it's perfect. The best way to go is to use CBT, carbon bond technology, through and through for every single nutrient. That is something that changed and saved my life. So I took this organically bound complexes. Why? Because I'm not a dinosaur. I'm not going to be here for 3,000 more years. And I needed something NOW. And if I needed something NOW, I needed it now. And I needed it because I wanted to live. And that's how carbon bond technology got created. That's the science behind CBT. It has never been done before. Who's heard of liposomal technology? Anybody? Okay. Would you guys agree that it's a carrier and a delivery system? Yeah, and it's based on what? Fat. It utilizes a fat molecule, which is, I love it. It's awesome. So would you agree then it goes into the body because the fat is driving it, and liposomally, it's a very small molecular size and weight, so it goes in. Yeah, right? Guess what? The average liposomal infusion of the mitochondria and the cytoplasm of a cell is over 1.5 minutes, sometimes 2 to 3 minutes. Mother Nature said, I'll do it in 18 seconds. Okay, you're not gonna trick me. Like, I know what your body's made up of. So the whole point is carbon bond technology mimics that exact infusion designed by Mother Nature. And the things that are carbon-based complexes come from Mother Nature in 3,000 to 5,000 years. Carbon bond technology is something that I created to save my life, which mimics the exact technology so that we don't have to wait 3,000 to 5,000 years. Now, here's the cool part. This is really out there. Are you ready? Yes or no? Okay, you with me? Okay, so this is cool. So one day, I'm sitting around, I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. And I said, carbon, life, carbon, what we're made up of. So our brain has obviously got carbon in it. Would you agree that we have something called consciousness? You agree? Okay. Why? Because you can turn to your neighbor and you can say my name. You can say, what do I want to do in my life? I'm really tired right now. This guy keeps talking and I just want to go to bed. You, you know, you can turn around and you can just say, you know what? I really got to go to the bathroom right now. You can make decisions that affect your life because you're of consciousness. Things that are alive contain what? Carbon. Yes or no? Okay. You with me? Okay, so if they contain carbon, then we have the ability to now say that there is a degree or element of consciousness that is now present in the carbon. Whoa, dude, like for sure, dude. Like, yeah, we are now understanding why Mother Nature designed it that way. We have the ability to make decisions. We are made up of carbon. We have this thing called consciousness. Why am I here? The I am concept. Anybody heard of it? Okay, who am I? What am I doing here? What is my purpose? What do I want to accomplish in my life? Maybe I just want to go to bed and get away from this dude. Maybe I just want to, go into the casino and spend $1 million. What you have the ability to make decisions for yourself. That's called consciousness. Things that are alive have consciousness. Would you agree with that? Do things that are not alive have consciousness? Like a rock. Actually, okay, we'll come back to actually they do, but it's at a very different level, very different conversation. The kind of consciousness that I'm talking about, even your dog can say, I'm not listening to that dude right now. Like, no, I'm going to stay right here. And when he calls me, I'm going the other direction. In fact, that's a decision that your dog makes because there's consciousness. So here's the kicker. Anything that contains carbon technically then is what? Starts with an L. Li? Living. Yes. Dang, I love that. So things that are living contain carbon, right? So carbon nutrients are then what? Living nutrients. No way. Way? Yeah, they are. And that's a pretty important thing for you guys to remember. Carbon-based nutrients are, in a sense, living. They are living because they contain carbon. Guess what we're realizing now? They're also coherently conscious. There is a degree of consciousness present in the nutrient. Why? Because it's wrapped in carbon. Yeah, for sure. It's wrapped in carbon. Carbon is the key to life. So that means there's a degree of consciousness in every nutrient. And so we are seeing incredible results with that. We are now understanding why the body and the brain, the coherent mind and heart, there's a relationship between the mind and the heart. And we are seeing how that relationship, that consciousness, is why it's so critical and why you wake up with energy and how it affects the what? There's these things called chakras, energy centers. There's 8 of them, or 9. Some people say 9. These energy centers need to be fed, and they are supplying the energy to your body. Your body needs adenosine triphosphate, yes or no? Does anybody understand? Yeah? Why? Because you want to be able to go to lectures like this, and you want to be able to hop on your airplane. You want to be able to get to work on time and see your patients. You want to do all this stuff. You need energy. In order to have energy, it's like, think of it this way. Think of a car. A car has something that's an electrical kind of you can have tires, wheels, and all this stuff. But if you don't have a catalyst in the car, you're not going to go very far. You're not going to be able to push the gas pedal down, produce horsepower, and boogie. You're not. And the reason is because it lacks something called a catalyst. That catalyst inside the car engine is called a what? It's what? Starts with an S. I mean, I know that's a kind of a tough one. No, I'm not telling you. No, I want you to figure that one out. It starts with an S. What is it? It's SP? SPA? Thank you. Thank you. It's a spark plug. Yes or no? So you can have all those things present, but if you don't have a catalyst inside the engine, you don't get what? An explosion inside the cylinder head. The more you push the gas pedal down, the more explosions you get. Everything's electrical. Everything creates and needs horsepower. In order to get horsepower, you have to have an ignition. The ignition happens inside the cylinder head, and then the cylinder head creates explosion. You push the gas pedal down, you boogie. Your body is very similar. It's not exact, but very similar. You need something called a neuroelectrical catalyst. That catalyst is something brought in by what? An organically bound mineral. The mineral is the catalyst inside the cell. That mineral, yes or no? Yes or no? Are you with me? Okay. The cell is in need of a catalyst. That catalyst is a what? Mineral. The mineral's job, its whole survival, is so that it will bring nutrients into the cell with it. And then it creates what? This explosion, in a sense, inside the cell. The cell now combusts and creates something called, ooh, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, I didn't hear that. ATP, right? ATP. Now you have energy to do the things you need to do, which is why Pauling said it's so important. So I want you to understand that without that organically bound mineral, the guy was right. He was so right. He said every ailment, every sickness, and every disease can be traced back to an organic trace mineral deficiency. Go figure. So now we have enough story and we understand why and how the body utilizes adenosine or gets adenosine triphosphate, which is through an organically bound mineral. And that organically bound mineral has to contain what? C-A-R-B, what? Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that word for sure. So it contains carbon. And that carbon is what we need. Why? Because we're made up of it and the body knows what to do with it. So carbon bond technology is a very unique technology. It took me 30 years to create it. And I have wrapped over 400 nutrients into and around carbon. The body, it's in the bloodstream and under, oh, wow. Show you some pics. Oh, cool. Check it out. Book that I just came out with on Wednesday. It's all in here, by the way. You can see this. We just came out with this on Wednesday. I highly recommend that you come to the booth. Please come. It's called Carbon Cure. But I go through the clinical evaluations, the clinical studies. I talk about the science. I talk about the things you don't even want to know. I talk about it all in there. Then there's a lot of good stuff that you do want to know. So it's all in there. I highly recommend that you understand and remind yourselves how important this is. But I wanted to show you a slide of, well, it's a dark field micro. Here's what it does. Here's carbon bond technology. It goes after inert material. It removes it in step 4. It's an amazing process. It's why it's why I'm still standing here. And by the way, a byproduct of the technology is that it will light. Come to the booth and you'll see it for yourselves. It'll light not just a 100-watt light bulb. It'll light a 1,000-watt light bulb, 1,000 watts. Why? Because it is the most potent neuroelectrical electrolytic, meaning electrolyte catalyst I've ever seen. So it will light a light bulb, literally light, just like it will light your cells. Your cells need ignition. They needed a spark plug. They needed all these different things. They needed a carrier. That carrier is CBT. CBT, called carbon bond technology. It's here. It is a revolutionary change in how we see nutrition. Everything else is SCN. What did we say SCN stood for? Oh. After all this, I'm going to introduce myself again. Dr. Richard Drucker. I'm about to go over some things with you guys. Is that cool? SCN. Thank you. Synthetic chemical nutrient, yes or no? Okay. And is she with me? Okay. So now you understand how important SCN is to avoid. It's important. It's like everywhere and you need to avoid it. So carbon bond technology will light a 1,000-watt, I swear. Anybody seen this, ever heard of this? It will light a 1,000-watt light bulb. And people are like, where do you get a 1,000-watt light? We had GE make it. It'll light a 1,000-watt light bulb, 1,000 watts. What do you think it's doing inside your cell? Hello? It's amazing. I'm still here. Go figure, right? They said no. Marty, I'm done. Okay. Well, look, so one last thing. I just want to show you this slide. So cool. Here's a thermal image of before and after taking CBT. It's literally, it says 18 seconds. There's the thermal image. Look at the systemic hydrolyzation that took place in under 18 seconds. This is over and over and over and over again, patient after patient after patient, including moi, including me. I'm here sharing the story so that you can benefit, so you don't have to go through what I went through. So you can get rid of the toxins that have accumulated in extracellular space, interstitial fluid, fatty tissue, so you can carry all that stuff out through the urine, skin, and stool. And so your body can receive organically bound carbon-based nutrition and ignite your cells so that you can produce something called ATP, regenerate, rejuvenate the cell. The mitochondria and the cytoplasm, the cell regenerate. Here's the last picture. This is cool. Here is, it says 60 seconds. I'm telling you it was less. I don't know what it was, but it was like 25 seconds. I put 60 because I don't know. But somebody in my office, literally my lab guy called Carlos, was like, hey man, there's a guy coming in trying to sell us this really cool new microscope. And I'm like, okay, bro, do me a favor, pinch your finger. He's like, what? I said, pinch your finger. We're going to put it on a slide. So the one on the left shows serious carbon, seriously, like clumping. It's red blood cell toxicity. The one on the left, irregular shapes and sizes in less than 20. I'm telling you, it was like less than 60 seconds. Look at the difference. We pricked his, dude, that's less than 60 seconds change with CBT. That's real, live, microscopic, in front of my nose, in front of my eyes, in front of my face. It's how, we see this every day. Cancers, tumors, we are knee deep in it. We do human clinical studies and clinical trials. I am literally all about science. I don't care about hype. I'm not interested. If we can do a medical study, if we can do a clinical study, if we can, I know you guys may think, well, that's silly, but you know what? That's not. Evaluation is critical, understanding what works and what doesn't work so we can make it better. It's okay. That's okay. That's what we do. That's all we do is I study, 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 research, 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 develop, 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 make it better, 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 faster, 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 stronger, stronger, stronger. So anyway, the last thing, Marty, please, 30 seconds. Okay, he's like, whatever. You guys need to also understand something else. It's really important. Everything else that's out there, there's these chemicals called potassium sorbate and sodium benzoate. Who's heard of them? Yes or no? You with me? Okay, because potassium sorbate and sodium benzoate is really in every liquid supplement I've ever seen. I didn't say pill, I said liquid. Why? Because it's a requirement by the Food and Drug Administration. I'm sorry to tell you that, but it's reality. Everything needs potassium sorbate, they're chemicals. They are the best form of SC, thank you, that I've ever seen. So you can have the best supplement in the world. It's liquid-based. You want it because you think your body's getting it because it's liquid. It's better than a capsule, on tablet, and a gel. And you're going to absorb it. And what happens? And then it's at the end of the day, it's loaded with this potassium sorbate and sodium benzoate because the government says so. It took me 7 years. I have invented something called IntraFresh technology. IntraFresh technology says that we don't have to use potassium sorbate and sodium benzoate. I went to the government like an idiot, but I did. I had to. I went to the government, your favorite government, and I said, please take a look at this. And they said, not only no, they said, heck no. We're not going to do that. Everything we need is called potassium sorbate. So that's just how we preserve things. We want to make sure there's no growth, nobody gets sick after 9, 10, 11, 12 months. I had to go back 7 years with these things called paternity. I think work, but I had to. And after 7 years, they said, oh, like I was on a first name basis. I'm like, hey, Bob, how are the kids? No, doctor, no means no. We're not doing 7 years of that. They finally approved us. They said, oh, you know,